man in the house, Mr. Lewis Culver. The first is myself.
Man, I don't know how to follow that act. That's kind of hard to follow. Brings new meaning to the term tearjerker, right? Okay, I'm going to do 3 poems. Unfortunately, they're not original poems. I kind of ripped them from other people, but they're still great nonetheless. And as a matter of fact, we're all poets. We all live and breathe, and to me, life is a poem. So to kick things off, if we could just breathe in and breathe out, so we can start vibing with each other. So breathe in, out. Okay. So this first one, these first 2 actually are by Sarah Kay. If you guys know her, she's a good poet. This first one's called Private Parts. The first love of my life never saw me naked. There was always a parent coming home in a half hour, always a little brother in the next room, always too much body and not enough time for me to show her. Instead, I gave her my shoulder, my elbow, the bend of my knee. I lent her my corners, my edges, the parts of me I could afford to offer, the parts I had long since given up trying to hide. She never asked for more. She gave me back her eyelashes, the back of her neck, her palms. We held each piece we were given like it was a nectarine, could bruise if we weren't careful. We collected them like we were trying to build an orchard. And the spaces she never saw, the ones my parents had labeled private parts, when I was still small enough to fit all of myself and worries inside a bathtub, I made up for them by handing over all of the private parts of me. There was no secret I didn't tell her. There was no moment I didn't share. We didn't grow up, we grew in, like ivy, wrapping, molding each other into perfect yins and yangs. We kissed with mouths open, breathing her exhale into my inhale. We could have survived underwater or outer space, living only off the breath we traded. We spelled love, G-I-V-E. I never wanted to hide my body from her. If I could have, I would have given it all away with the rest of me. I did not know it was possible to save some things for myself. Some nights I wake up knowing she is anxious. She is across the world in another man's arms, and the years have spread us apart like dandelion seeds, sanding down the edges of our jigsaw parts that used to only fit each other. She drinks from the pitcher on the nightstand, checks the digital clock. It is 5 a.m. She tosses in sheets and tries to settle. I wait for her to sleep before tucking myself into elbows and knees, reaching for things I have long since given away. And you guys feel free to snap it up, give me some oohs and some ahs, and oh my God, man, bro, that was tight, you can give me some feedback. You don't have to be quiet and everything. I know it's kind of somber, moody stuff, but you can show me some love too. So. Okay, the second poem by Sarah Kay. And can you guys hear me in the back pretty good? Yeah? Good? Awesome. Louder? Is this good? Awesome. Okay. So the second poem is called, it's a love poem from a toothbrush to a bicycle tire. They told me that I was meant for the cleaner life, that you would drag me through the mud. They said that you would tread all over me, that they could see right through you, that you were full of hot air, that I would always be chasing, always watching you disappear after sleeker models, that it would be a vicious cycle. But I knew better. I know about your rough edges, and I have seen your perfect curves. I will fit into whatever spaces you let me. If loving you means getting dirty, bring on the grime. I will leave this porcelain home behind. I'm used to twice a day relationships, but with you, I'll take all the time. And I know we live in different worlds and we're always really busy, but in my dreams you spin around me so fast, I always wake up dizzy. So maybe one day you'll grow tired of the road and roll on back to me. And when I blink my eyes into the morning, your smile will be the only one I see. You guys are the best crowd. I love you. Thank you. Okay, this last one is by Rudy Francisco, who's also a phenomenal poet. And I encourage you all to look these two up, Sarah Kay and Rudy Francisco. This one is just a love poem by him. And, okay, here we go. I want you to bite my lip until I can no longer speak, and then suck my ex-girlfriend's name out of my mouth just to make sure she never comes up in our conversations. I'm gonna be honest, you guys. I'm not a love poet. In fact, every time I try to write about love, my hands cramp, just to show me how painful love can be. And sometimes my pencils break, just to prove to me that every now and then, love takes a little more work than you planned. See, I heard that love is blind, so I write all my poems in Braille. And my poems are never actually finished because true love is endless. I always believe that real love is kind of like a supermodel before she's airbrushed. You know, it's pure and imperfect, just the way that God intended. See, I'm going to be honest. I'm not a love poet, but if I was to wake up tomorrow morning and decide that I really wanted to write about love, I swear that my first poem, it would be about you. About how I loved you the same way that I learned how to ride a bike. Scared. But reckless, with no training wheels or elbow pads, so my scars can tell a story of how I fell for you. You see, I'm not really a love poet, but if I was, I'd write about how I see your face in every cloud and your reflection in every window. You see, I've written like 1,000,000 poems hoping that somehow, maybe some way, you'll jump out of the page and be closer to me. Because if you were here, right now, girl, I would massage your back until your skin sings songs that your lips don't even know the words to. Until your heartbeat sounds like my last name and you smile like the Pacific Ocean. I want to drink the sunlight in your skin. Yo, if I was a love poet, I'd write about how you'd have the audacity to be beautiful, even on days when everything around you is ugly. You see, I'd write about your eyelashes and how they are like violin strings that play symphonies every time you blink. If I was a love poet, I'd write about how I melt in front of you like an ice sculpture. And every time I hear the vibration in your voice, so whenever I see your name on my caller ID, my heart, it plays hopscotch inside of my chest. Yo, it climbs onto my ribs like a monkey bars, and I feel like a child all over again. I know this sounds strange, but every now and then I pray that God somehow turns you back into one of my ribs, just so that I would never have to spend the entire day without you. I swear, I'm not a love poet, but if I was to wake up tomorrow morning and decide that I really wanted to write about love, my first poem, it would be about you. And after all of that, you know, she'd be like, so how do you feel about me? And I'd be like, okay. Put it like this. I want to be your ex-boyfriend's stuntman. I want to do everything that he never had the courage to do. I trust you. I swear that when our lips touch, I can taste the next 60 years of my life. And some days I just want to swallow stacks of your pictures just so you can be a part of me for a little bit longer. If I could, I would sample your smile and then I would let my heartbeat do the bass line and we would create the greatest love song of all time. Whenever we stand next to each other. Love, I was the only one made for you. And you can be my At Last by Etta James, and I'll be Ooh Child when you're in pain, or you could be candy coated drops of rain, and together we could be music. And when my friends ask if you're my girlfriend, I'll say no. She's my musician, and I'm her favorite song. Thank you.
Okay, so Panda just said he wants to hug him. I want to hug him too, but I... Wow, words are hard.